Hello, my beautiful, sensitive, intuitive ones, my gentle spirits, my fellow sparkly space blobs. I am so happy that you're here with me and that we get to have a moment of exploring, connecting, feeling, and really establishing a sense of deep safety to move into this eclipse season with intention, but also openness, with also a sense of homecoming, because that's a really, really big theme for this eclipse season as we work first with this Pisces lunar eclipse that we're talking about today, and then again with the partial solar eclipse in Virgo in a few weeks. This is a really, really soulful, intuitive, harmonious, and important eclipse season. And it's one that I think so many of us are longing for as we've moved through the huge energy waves, question asking, and not knowing of this year. And I think so many of us have been experiencing life, like the unknownness of it all and how to navigate this world at a really intense level where in previous years of our life, we might have been able to kind of piece together, okay, I think this is where I'm going to be heading. This is how I'm going to use my energy, etc. And there's been an amplified sense of, I know that I have these ingredients inside. I can feel these intuitive nudges, and I'm not quite sure where to put all the pieces. And I think that this eclipse season is really, really helpful in helping us to get a little bit more clarity, a little bit more connection, and a little bit more of that sense of like centered self, the capital S self of knowing and soul song. And it's so much about reconnecting to our soul song and feeling safe in that. And I think that's such a beautiful part of this whole thing, because this is going to be about an eclipse season that's about energetic calling, intuition, dream walking, really honoring that, our emotions and our physical signals and our intuitive signals are valuable and they're enough right now. They're a great place to start. And so many of us have been taught to shut that down, ignore it, cut it off. And this eclipse season is also going to be reminding us that it's important to use these innate tools, these innate resources that we each have and we each experience slightly differently and uniquely, that are very important to navigating and to helping us figure out how to be here in the world. So I'm really hoping that over the next couple of chats about the eclipses coming up, that you feel some of that resonance, because of course eclipses are all about setting us up for the next 6-month cycle. We are in eclipse season every 6 months. So they not only help us to kind of release and let go of whatever we might have built up and carried with us over the last 6 months, but it also helps us to really tune in to what's important in the coming 6 months. And right now, as we're working with the North Node in Pisces and the South Node in Virgo, we are doing some of the most profound, intuitive reconnection work that I've ever seen, honestly, and it's a very potent time. And I just want you to feel that you can relax into this space and trust yourself as we move through this eclipse season. So that's what we're going to be doing here today. And you might have noticed I'm wearing one of my tiaras because a few of you have mentioned a few times in the comments that you miss me wearing these. I used to wear these a lot more when I was doing like moon chats and things like that. And so I decided, for me, the Pisces lunar eclipse is one of my favorite places. Last year's Pisces lunar eclipse that happened in September was really, really profound for me. If you also had a profound one, you might want to look at if you wrote any notes or had any reflections during last September. This is a great moment as well to check in with that. But I feel a very deep resonance to working with Piscean energy. And so I just felt like, let's bring some of the magic and the sparkle, because that's so beautiful. You have magic and sparkle, and it's part of this whole weaving of the world. So let's dive in. If you want a few more navigation tools for working with intuition, soul song, finding your North Star, I really highly recommend joining my Wild Dreaming community over on Patreon, where right now I am just beginning a new Wild Dreaming series where every couple of weeks I'm putting out a new practice that is all about surrealist art, getting in touch with your innate magic, opening up, feeling the resonance of your soul song and allowing that to shine really bright. I also have the September monthly readings for all 12 signs that you can listen to. It's like pulling up a chair at the hearth and just having a moment of intuitive check-in. So I'd love to offer you those resources if you're looking for a little bit of an extra safe, soft space to land. I hope to see you there. And now let's begin. The Pisces Virgo axis is one of the most beautiful and magical places to do some exploring, because at its core, it is about the relationship between our physical intuitive system and our spiritual non-physical intuitive systems, and how powerful both of these systems are, that they're entwined, that they inform each other, that they're important, and that we need them. And this axis also helps us to connect to our gifts, what we are meant to give to the world, and our process of remembering those gifts and coming back into communion with them. And of course, this axis is getting lit up right now with the sun in Virgo and the moon in Pisces, and then we're moving through this lunar eclipse. And so during this eclipse season, especially during this first eclipse in Pisces, which is the North Node energetic right now, this is all about reestablishing self-trust and healing our relationship with intuition, with gut knowing, with our emotions, with anything that we've been trying to repress or push down. Pisces is often known as kind of the energetic, soulful, healing resonance of all is one consciousness, the kind of energy that holds us in all of our forms, in all of our complexity, with no judgment. And from there, we can access our dreams, our intuitions, and all of those powerful inputs that we are often told aren't real, aren't important. Our materialist culture is often very focused on what you're getting done. Did you check off those to-do lists? Did you make it happen? Did you succeed in a traditional sense? And I think one thing to just keep in mind when working with this Pisces lunar eclipse is like that none of that is going to be what's emphasized here. We're going to be emphasizing where we cut those things off and bringing them back in and allowing them to flow back and allowing that water to flow through. And because of that, this is also going to be a highly intuitive time. So if you're somebody who tends to dream, these can be very, very powerful dream times where you're doing a lot in the dream world. I'm one of those people. I feel like I have like a second life where I'm very busy doing so much, connecting with people and spirits and energies and having meetings and connection points and conversations and doing energetic work. And I'm sure many of you are the same. This is a time where that might be heightened. So be gentle with your body, be gentle with yourself. Remember that's going on because there's like kind of an openness and a fluidity happening during this lunar eclipse. And this is also going to be a time when any beliefs, any social conditioning that's kind of told us that's not enough, you shouldn't do that, don't listen to your deja vu, don't listen to your intuitive nudges, don't listen to your dreams, just keep chugging along, will be challenged and also encouraged to heal. So if we have inner critics, inner worriers, inner overfunctioners, this is also going to be a really beautiful time to soothe them, take care of them, and allow them to release a little bit. And that leads me into the aspect of this eclipse that's so beautiful and I think is really essential, which is that this eclipse is going to be quite close to the North Node. And a lunar eclipse like this means we are really going into the psychic landscape, because we think about like a full moon is already a time of deep illumination where we are seeing what we are releasing, how we have changed throughout the month. And then you add in that lunar emotional interior non-physical world and you bring that into the hidden underworld, right? Because the moon dips into the hidden during an eclipse like this. We are really diving into the emotional world and we are sitting there in the non-physical, in the creative void to some extent, which is a really, really powerful thing. But because we're also working with North Node energy here, we are working with a deep sense of calling. And so intuition, spirit guides, ancestors, emotions, preferences, callings, gifts, nudges, all of that kind of energy is going to be really, really amplified right now. Any place where we're trying to shove those things down or shut them off is going to be hard to do at this time. That's what I'm going to say. It's like that information wants to come through, and that's why I think it's really important. Be nice to yourself, be gentle with yourself, but also know that because this is North Node energy, this is about what's pulling us forward into new chapters. And I know many of us have been sitting trying to think, how do I vision myself and the world into a better version of everything, right? Like, I'm trying to sit here and hold those beautiful thoughts, those compassionate thoughts, those healing thoughts. Think about how I can use my gifts in my particular situation to contribute. And the thing with North Node work is that it's always about, kind of leaving the familiar, the established, the things we already know how to do, and entering into aspects of ourselves and our gifts and our talents that maybe we haven't allowed ourselves to fully express. Maybe we don't know exactly what it's going to look like. So we'll also say that as we get these intuitive and dreamlike and non-physical signals, some of them might feel really unfamiliar and like, I don't know what to do with that. I've never done that before. I'm surprised that gift is getting asked to step forward and be in leadership, or I'm surprised that I'm being asked to follow this path. There can be an element of like, wow, I didn't realize that's where I was getting called to. And I think it's just, as always with this, because we're setting up for the next 6 months, we don't have to address and act on every single thing that comes through. I think it's important to take those many days around the eclipse and let the energy work, let yourself land in it. You don't have to do everything in the few hours that the eclipse is total, and like, you can be really good at your homework and make sure you change your whole life. It's like just relaxing into it, listening, observing, and noticing what's coming in. And that leads me to the final thing I wanted to talk about with the aspects of this lunar eclipse. It's actually a very crisp, clear eclipse in and of itself. And the other thing that's going on is that it's loosely opposing Mercury in its home sign of Virgo. So we've got this Mercury Sun opposition to the moon. And I love this actually because it highlights some of the work we're doing with the South Node in Virgo right now, which has to do with healing our relationship to gut knowing, paying attention to the signals in our body, trusting our preferences and our needs, because I feel like I've repeated myself about 5 or 10 times on this specific topic, but Virgo is the gut knowing energy. And so many of us have been taught to disconnect from it to survive. And that's a whole big topic on its own. And that's meant that many of us don't even know, like, is this intuition or anxiety? Am I feeling just overwhelmed by this scenario and I just need to rest? Or is it really off? Those kind of questions often come up when we feel like we're not allowed to be with ourselves and we have taught ourselves to disconnect. And so I think that for me, this opposition right now and this Mercury Sun conversation going on in the sign of Virgo is really helping us to also reflect on where we cut ourselves off from knowing what we prefer and what feels good. And this can also be reflected in a really practical aspect of this whole conversation, which is just like, what are some routines, expectations, ways of going through your day to day that are not working for you, that are making you tired, that are burning out your body, that is making you feel cut off from your gifts, from these visions that are trying to come in, from all these dreams that have been filtering in. How can you make little adjustments right now that will actually care for your physical body? Because once again, the Pisces Virgo axis is about the deep entwinement of our physical, non-physical, and that connection and that conversation needs to have like an open channel and be informing each other. And so if we have a whole bunch of visions, dreams, gifts, and callings that are coming in through this process, and we continue to treat our bodies and our gut knowing and everything and like just keep going and not make even the slightest accommodations or adjustments, it's going to be very hard to proactively engage with these big North Node calling to new new talents, new gifts, new ways of approaching this world, right? Like that's very overwhelming to think about. So it's really about fostering that. And how can we just make the tiniest of adjustments, even if it's staying in bed for 15 extra minutes, or going on a short walk, or just taking a breath for 5 minutes in between activities. And of course you can take that further. Sometimes that feels too like overwhelming to start thinking about how am I going to make my day-to-day life so functional for me. And it's not about being optimizing and being proactive. It's about honoring what your needs are and the uniqueness of that and the essence of that. And I feel like I've been saying so many things, but honestly, this eclipse is really about listening to the callings, the pullings, the nudgings that are trying to get your attention, and to just consider how we might be able to make adjustments to allow them to enter in the coming 6 months. And I'm going to be doing a practice over on the Wild Dreaming community that I've already mentioned, where we are going to be just asking questions of the needs and the desires of all different parts of our bodies and our soul, and just listening in and actually honoring the ingredients that are waiting there, because we've taught ourselves to not hear them anymore. Or it's like it's not enough, it's not grounded enough, it's not concrete enough, or we just are used to hearing that little voice in the background, but like not really paying any attention. So we're just going to listen in and see what ingredients are there. It's going to be a really beautiful, soft practice. I hope to see you there. Is anybody else having this experience as I shuffle my cards? I'm just curious. I want to hear about what's been coming up for you, how this year has felt so far, how the last 6 months have felt. But I know for me, I've just noticed that my intuition's gotten a lot louder, a lot clearer, a lot more interactive with me. It's almost like, because the stakes are so different and the feeling is so different, cutting ourselves off is just not working anymore, right? And I think so many of us are coming home to ourselves in these new, beautiful ways that are just so amazing to connect with and feel through. And 2 cards came out. I love that. They're really dynamic cards too, because it's the Knight of Wands and the Empress, which, these are energies that are not traditionally connected to Pisces whatsoever, or Virgo, to be honest. And yet, I think this speaks for me to the joyfulness of this lunar entrance into the hidden creative void, and what's important to pay attention to here. Because we can talk about all the deep work we need to do, and I'm sure each of us has our own journey there, going into our shadows and going into our pasts and learning to have new patterns that feel good, all of that deep work that so many of us are doing, all that healing. And that's so valid and so beautiful, and themes of that nature might come up during eclipse season. They often do. But I think it's really interesting to have these vibrant, playful, joyful, ease-filled energies showing up, because for me, it really points to 2 energetic qualities that I think are being asked for us to let into the process. The first energetic quality being this Knight of Wands. This is very playful energy. It's fiery, it's passionate, right? It's about what just lights you up. It's just fun. It just makes you want to get out there and do it all day, and that can include, maybe you just love sitting in your house and meditating. That might be it. Like, it doesn't always have to look like being a social butterfly. But like, what just feels like, yes, I just want to do that. I just want to do that. If I could just wake up and that's what I was doing. What are those things? What are those ingredients? What are those things that feel like that? I think Knight of Wands for me, it is a very active, energized energy, but it's also about feeling powered by something that really deeply connects. The Knight of Wands isn't running around in this powerful little, rising up on the horse and going for it energy, because they're kind of feeling meh about something, right? Like the Knight of Wands is passionate, is curious, is interested, is excited, wants to just try something. And that eagerness, what is that for you? And so often we will think it has to fit into a specific mold to be excited about something, but it's going to be unique to you. So what is that unique thing? And then the Empress. This is a card that has to do with ease. And this is a message that's been coming up so much in the last several weeks, even leading up to this eclipse, because what our essence and our gifts, we come into the world with a way of seeing and feeling and being that is valid. And many of us come with, different skill sets, interests, and of course those morph and change throughout a lifetime, and we'll have different seasons, but there's an ease to it. It's not about what we force ourselves to do. It's not about what we think we need to be. It's about what we already are and what already connects and what is flowing through. And both of these cards speak to this sense of like, what just feels good to you? What just innately feels like home to you? What innately feels like your soul song, your spirit? And are you allowed to seriously engage with that and allow it to lead you? Are you allowed to do that? Are you allowed to listen to these messages? And that seems like such a simple message, but I think there's a subtlety to this whole lunar eclipse, honestly, which is that we are going to be getting a lot of beautiful visionary information about how to use our gifts, our acts of service, our voices, our creative lenses, all of that gorgeous, sparkly energy that you have. I know the you that's sitting here. It's going to be all about that, but the subtlety is that sometimes that seems too simple, not enough, too quiet, and so we won't listen to it because it's like, well, it's supposed to be this Pisces lunar eclipse. It's going to be like this big life-altering aha moment, which that could also happen, but a lot of times these dreams, these nudges, these visions, they're going to just be like, hey, remember how you loved this? Remember how you like to connect with this? And letting ourselves do that. I think that's so beautiful. And this is a really, really loving, nurturing lunar eclipse as far as eclipses go. It's very honest as well. It's going to be speaking from that non-physical perspective and helping us remember what's really important and how to work with our gift and getting that perspective, which can be very, very clarifying. And like I mentioned, I have so many resources right now that I have been crafting and developing for my wild dreamers over on Patreon, because I really want there to be a library of resources for you when you're needing a soft place to land and you just want to connect with your intuition, your creativity, and I want to make it accessible and affordable. If you have not joined me over there before, I highly recommend it. And for those of you who are with me, you know how much I love having you in that space and just having a safe place to do our exploring together. So I really hope you'll join me over there for monthly readings and for all 12 signs, for our wild dreaming practices, and also for the practice of connection for this Pisces lunar eclipse that we're going to be doing. So I hope to see you there. I love you all so much. I love it when you're here. I can't wait to allow my sparkle to come back more and more and to just shine in my weird, wonderful way. And to do that right alongside all of you is the honor of a lifetime. So we'll be back here again, my sparkly spirits, to explore, to feel, and to create a centered, safe place to be ourselves. See you then.